Kim, with that, have you started? There you go, recording. I just saw it pop up.
Go ahead and start, Cal.
Oh, great, love recording. Okay, so thanks for everybody again for joining, and we'll go ahead and Kim, you want to flip over to the next slide? Okay. Oh, somebody just joined us. Okay, well, let's move on. So first, we've had some changes with our emerging leader sponsors. So for those of you new sponsors to our call, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. There's a lot of energy and passion around this program, and we really couldn't do a lot of what we do without the sponsors. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a warning, I'm not sure, but we really do appreciate the support that we get from the sponsors, both at the conference and of course back at your respective sites with carrying forth some of the things that our emerging leaders are learning and helping them with getting the experience that they need. So welcome. The new names you can see there on green, excuse me, and I see, I think I heard a number of people join that were new sponsors. I know Jay Gaines isn't with us today. He's out of the area, but again, welcome to our new sponsors. All right. Yep, there you go. All right, so the purpose of our call, there's really a couple things. This year, 2017, we knew was going to be a big transition year for us with the change in the overall emerging leader program and the redesign. So there's a lot happening right now with the three classes really kind of coinciding and all kind of working in the same space. So we want to make sure we're aligning on where all three classes should be right now and what activities are happening with all three classes. So that's the primary objective. We also want to set the stage for the January conference. So this will be the final conference for the class of 2018. But there's been a lot of invites flying around the past couple of days, so we want to make sure you understand what those invites all are. And then align on on-site activities in January, and then of course going on beyond just January and your kickoff with your class of 2019 emerging leaders. Okay, flip ahead. All right, so we'll start with the class of 2017. So right now we should be almost done. So we're at the kind of the end of the cycle for the class of 2017. If you recall, our class of 2017 emerging leaders really kind of were divided. They started the program in the old design and are finishing the program in the new design. They would be the first class of emerging leaders to go through the capstone period that we've established with the new program. So they've had kind of a hybrid program, if you want to say it that way. So where they should be right now is completing their 360 assessments and their debriefs with talent management. Hopefully that has almost all happened at this point. Maybe a couple stragglers out there. Can I ask if you're not on mute, if you can go on mute? Okay, thank you. All right, they should be well into delivering their capstone presentations. And just as a refresher, capstone presentations, the idea was that they were going to do these in front of a larger audience, trying to maybe capitalize on some opportunities with some of our senior execs that would be on site, and they could present their capstone presentation, then get some challenge and really, get some really good questions. I've sat through a few of these, and they've been going well so far. And some of the questions that our senior leaders and have been asking have been pretty challenging. So it's been going well, and I think that we're getting a lot of just great learnings out of the things that our emerging leaders are taking from the program. I know there are a number of capstone presentations that haven't happened yet. So, if you can be working to that end to, make sure that these are happening. And we are ideally wrapping that up by, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but really by the end of January.
Yes.
Okay. And again, I understand that there might be some stragglers there, but that's our target. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have a survey. We really do want to get feedback on this redesign and how it's worked, and continue to incorporate feedback into the program. And that really was what really got us to the redesign, was all the feedback we've been collecting throughout the emerging leader program. So that'll be one other thing that this class will be getting after the January conferences. They'll be getting a survey, and we'll be asking for their feedback on the redesign. All right. So, and speaking of the January conferences, so coming up, the class of 2017 emerging leaders will be invited to the class of 2018 networking event. So it's always confusing with the different classes. So the class of 2018 will have their final conference in January. And you can see the dates for East and West in the table below. The class of 2017 emerging leaders, we wanted to make sure we recognized them and we had some type of graduation. So they are invited to attend that event, primarily for the networking piece of it in the evening. Some emerging leaders we might be tapping on to present during the day, but for the most part, the ask is that they show up for the networking event in the evening. And we will be having a little bit of graduation ceremony, which we'll talk about in a second. So that conference, that networking event, class of 2017 graduating emerging leaders, of course, the class of 2018 emerging leaders, that will be their networking event. All of you emerging leader sponsors and all senior executives are invited. And we'll have a couple emerging leaders who really stood out, had impactful capstone presentations, have already done their capstone presentations. They're going to be asked to present at the evening event. We're working on gathering those names now. Kim, I can't remember, how many do we have currently?
We're still waiting on one in each the East and the West. We need one additional person in each region.
Perfect, thank you. So if you have somebody that you want to nominate for that you think has had just an extraordinary impact with their capstone presentation, and you think it would be a great opportunity for them and that the class of 2018 emerging leaders would learn a lot from, please work with your talent management person and get us that name. That would be great.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Kel, the idea behind having these emerging leaders present at the graduation ceremony is that all of the senior level executives will be there. So it's really an opportunity to showcase the achievements they have in the program and be a good example or highlight of what this emerging leader program is all about. So when we talk about who had extraordinary impact through their program experience and in their capstone, just keep in mind what our objective is with that, to make sure that it's somebody who's going to come with really great presence and enthusiasm for the program itself.
Great. Thank you, Kim. All right. Now, I know on a call like this, it's always challenging if there are questions, but I am going to pause and just ask, are there any questions for the class of 2017, where we should be right now with that class? Okay, so moving on. So the next slide just talks about the event itself. Again, January 9th, the evening of January 9th in Kennett Square area. In the West, it'll be January 23rd around Cantera. And you can see just the basic agenda of what we're thinking about for that event. We'll have a little bit more details. We're actually working on finalizing all the details for that for those events. And all of you should have seen invites at this point. There have been a couple different invites and updates, and we just want to make sure that we're clear of what all those different invites are. The class of 2017 got an invite, class of 2018 got their networking invite, and then you all should have gotten an invite as the sponsors. Okay, so moving on to the class of 2018. All right, so this final conference, that's going to be happening in January. This is basically the rundown of the 2 days event. And if you recall, when we talk about, and for the new sponsors, I'll take a step back. The idea is as they're going through this program, it's kind of a journey of where they are as emerging leaders and how they've progressed through. And we've built each program to build upon itself so that we can continue the learning. So really at this point, they're kind of moving into all right, you've learned a lot about yourself. And we really want to continue to work on like leadership skills and what they're going to be taking with them leaving this program. So a lot of what we want to focus on is, again, still building upon the other conferences and the learnings, but also giving them some reflection time. And we'll talk about that in a second, of what they've taken away and how they're going to continue to apply these things. So we were very planful and just making sure that we have, that building of all the different learnings. So day one, they're going to be doing a DISC assessment debrief. So in the pre-work, they will be getting a link to take a DISC assessment. And we'll be doing a lot of work on day one around DISC. We'll also be going through more of the capstone period and what's going to be happening in that capstone. more than just the presentation. There's more things that they're supposed to be doing back at their sites during the capstone period, and we want to make sure they understand what the expectations are for that. Day 2, we'll have our business acumen, business updates as we typically do. They've been asked to do a 360, so this is different than the old class that did their 360 at the very end. At the last conference, they were talked to about the 360, what it looks like, how you set it up, and all of them should be in their 360 period now. So we'll be doing debriefs at the conference. We'll be talking about motivational leadership and being more strategic leaders and working through change management. And then my favorite part of the day is going to be the capstone game, where we're really going to be putting some live application that pulls all the topics together and really gets them kind of thinking about everything they've learned in this whole program and how they're going to apply it going forward. And it's a game, so that's always fun. Okay, going on to the next slide.
Hey, Kelly, I'll just add in here too, if you could just shoot me an email, sponsors, and confirm if you are definitely attending the conference for your region. We need to get an assessment of who's going to be there or how many people are going to be there sponsor-wise, as that will come into play as we are planning out the logistics for the capstone game. So we do have some roles that we'll be looking for you to play. We'll be able to provide you with a briefing on what that looks like on lunch or a break at the conference itself, but first need to get a handle on logistics and how that will all unfold based on who's going to be able to be there. So if you could just shoot me that email, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, that goes back to the morning of being a sponsor, right? So it'll be a lot of fun to be had, I'm hoping. Okay, so moving on. So capstone period starts after the final conference. This is also the class of 2018. So emerging leaders, again, will have their 360 assessment. Even though we're doing a debrief at the conference, it will not be as in-depth as a one-on-one debrief, really with that many folks in the room and that sort of thing. They'll be getting high level how to interpret that sort of thing. We still have the expectation that they work with their local talent management person to get more in-depth feedback on their 360. So, and our talent management team knows that, and so that'll be a go-to for them when they get through the conference. Mentoring. So our sponsors, all of you, are responsible for working with the talent management to pair the class of 2018 mentors with incoming class of 2019 mentees. So some of you may recall, and for the new sponsors, we have paired up a outgoing emerging leader with basically an incoming emerging leader to be a mentor from a programmatic standpoint, to help them with what should they be thinking about as they're going to these conferences. What does this all mean? What did you get out of it? How have you learned? What have you used? That so that pairing process should really be starting soon and really be finalized by January, so that the class of 2019 know who their program sponsor is. And it's an expectation for the outgoing class that they have this responsibility to be a mentor. So we'll talk about that. The class of 2018 emerging leaders will be asked to complete a mentor profile. So that's going to be part of their pre-work that's going to be going out. And they're going to be submitting that back to you, the sponsors. The incoming class of 2019 is going to be asked to submit a mentee profile. And again, that's going to go to you as a sponsor. Numbers might not always match up, the same number, so you can double up or whatever you need to do with mentees and mentors. But the idea is that we do that pairing process soon. And the class of 2018 emerging leaders, again, this is their final conference in January. They should be thinking about their final presentations for their capstone, and those presentations should be scheduled by the end of Q2. So, and again, trying to use NSRBs, whatever MRM sites, the site MRMs might be going on, talent MRMs, that sort of thing, to get the audience that we really hope can be there, and they can get some really good feedback and get some good challenging questions.
Hey, right, Kelly, so I just want to go back to mentoring real quick. So I think somebody might need to go on mute. I'm hearing music. So going back to mentoring, I wanted to point out too that we are introducing Fitzpatrick into the class of 2019 because it is their first year participating in the program. They won't have any class of 2018 emerging leaders to function as mentors. Yeah. So in the situation where you have more class of 2018 emerging leaders than you do class of 2019, before you take it upon yourself to double up, reach out to me first and we can talk about whether there may be an opportunity for them to do some virtual mentoring and help out with the class of 2019 up at Fitzpatrick and welcoming them to the program.
Yeah, Bob, especially for maybe 9 Mile. That might be a great opportunity.
Well, the only concern, I like that idea a lot, but we did get feedback at the last conference that for the emerging leaders that are either not at a station, you know, like that don't have a tremendous amount of emerging leaders, where they are partnered up with mentors from other locations, they were frustrated with how that went in the, you know, they said they weren't getting a lot out of that.
Yeah, okay. Kelly, that's good.
You know what I mean? And now part of that is on them, you know, and I gave them that feedback. But I would just want, I think it's necessary and I like it, but I would just want to make sure we be explicit about what the expectation is on both ends and who's supposed to call who and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yep, yeah. Totally agree. And I apologize. I don't know if anybody else is listening to this music, but I think somebody must have put us on hold.
Somebody must have put us on hold. Yeah. Kim and Kelly, this is Rob. Certainly would be happy to talk to you offline about how to best support our emerging leaders for the next program and providing some mentor support for them. So
you got it, Rob.
If you want.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about our call tomorrow. That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. So, and Kelly, great feedback. And you know, the expectations, and you and I have talked about that a little bit too. But we really do need to be clear about what the expectations for that role is, and we'll add that in. And we should probably, Kim, add that into our survey.
Will do.
Okay. Class of 2019. So the nominations should have all been delivered at this point. For the class of 2019, we got the approval. Looks like a great list of new emerging leaders coming in. So really exciting. They would have received the program guide. So that's kind of their guide throughout this whole program. And they have a letter basically saying, yep, they're engaged, they're in this process, and indication really that they're going to be committed to this program. That's been something that we've looked for in the past with our emerging leaders. You know, this is a big deal, and we want to make sure that we have the full commitment from these folks that they are in and they're excited, and we're certainly excited to have them in the program too. So that should have all happened at this point. Next steps. So right now, basically, our first communication from our team is going to be going out to the class of 2019. And the first thing they're going to be asked to do is complete the mentee parent profile. So that'll be going out soon. And Kim, I can't recall the date, but I believe it's next week, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So in January, the sponsors can work with their talent management person and really use those mentor-mentee profiles to pair up the two classes so that they have a program mentor to help them through this program. Talent management will be sending out the conference dates, so we have those dates worked out, and we'll be sending those out so they can have them on their calendar, and all of you can be very planful in how we make sure our emerging leaders can get to the conferences. And sponsors really should be thinking about in January, February, if it has to be, the site-specific program orientation and guidelines will be provided in a separate attachment. We've done these in the past, and each site's had their own little spin. So we certainly want to just give guidelines, and you can go from there. But really welcoming the class of 2019 and encourage you to invite your class of 2018 or whoever else you want to invite. You know, a lot of times we've invited a lot of emerging leader alumni to come and participate in this and welcome the new class and talk about experiences. And again, we'll give you some guidance on how those may run at your various sites. But we want to do that, make sure that, you know, we make again, this kind of a big deal, and they get some really good face time with the senior team and other leaders as they start their program out. And then March, the corporate kickoff conference will occur in the East, March 14th in Baltimore, the West, March 21st. This is the third year, and Kim, I might be wrong about that, with the corporate kickoff for all emerging leaders across the whole enterprise. So whether that be ComEd, PICO, BG&E, Constellation, whoever. So our generation emerging leaders get to spend some time with folks outside of the business unit and learn kind of a broader perspective of the whole organization at that particular conference. So that's coming up. And then the first conference for the class of 2019 will be after that first kickoff conference. All right, so last slide here is just really an outline of what on-site orientation could look like. Some of the basic things that we hope you incorporate into your on-site orientations. Again, you can expand your invite list as you need, but obviously you want to invite the class of 2018 as the mentors and kind of the outgoing class. Invite your 2019, your senior team, the emerging leaders, direct leader, and the purpose is really just welcome them to the program and gain alignment on the commitment and really the overall program expectations. And then you can go through the rest of the framework. And again, we'll send this out to you afterwards with a little bit more detail. But really make it a fun event and really welcome and again making this feel like this is a big deal to be part of this program. So we'll send that out in a separate attachment too. So there's a lot to digest. This will be the only time that we really have 3 classes going on at the same time with the transition year from the old program design to the new. We knew this was going to be a little bit different. So ongoing, we should have an outgoing class, incoming class, working, not really the 3 classes that we have currently. Kim, did I forget anything?
Just to reinforce also that helping get the class of 2017 over the finish line with their capstones by the end of their capstone presentations by the end of 2017, and to please let me know if you are definitely going to be making it to the conference in your region for logistical purposes in planning the game. More to come on that.
Definitely. All right. Any questions? Anything that is confusing? One of the things that we want to make sure when we send this deck out, if there's anything we've missed or any more detail that you need, that we'll include it in here. So anything that that you need more information on? Okay, so we'll be sending out a couple follow-up items, this presentation in particular, as well as some of the documents that we just talked about, orientation agenda, that sort of thing. If you have any questions, reach out to me or to Kim or your talent management person on site, and we'll be happy to help and keep this moving forward. And very much appreciate all your sponsorship and support. We really couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Ted, I know that you're on. If you have any final comments you want to share with the group.
Yeah, I just really appreciate everybody's support this year. When you go out and talk to these folks, they are truly appreciative of your time, your interaction, and you sharing your lessons learned or stories with them. So please don't underestimate that, because for most of us, if you've done it a few years, then you repeat some of those same stories. But to that person you're talking to, many times it's brand new or the first time they've heard it. So don't underestimate that. For the new folks, new sponsors coming in, I appreciate your support this year. I look forward to working with you. And it's a fantastic program, and we got some really good traction. I like the change, and excellent job there, Kim, and your team as well. That's it.
Thanks so much, Ted. Are Rick and Glenn on? Okay. All right. Well, that will conclude our call. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And if you put us on hold while we were on this call, please be aware that we were dancing to some funky honky tonk while you had us on hold. So thank you.
I needed the background music. It was good. So yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. End of call. Have a good rest of the day.